Welcome to the United States of America. Well, maybe you're not here in the United States just yet, but you will be a lot closer after watching this video. Today I'll be talking a little bit about the I-129F Petition for Alien Fiancé Visa. A lot of people just call it the fiancé visa. And this visa allows U.S. citizens to solicit visas for their foreign fiancé or wife so that they can come to the United States and obtain permanent residency. Before anything else, I just want to clarify that I am not a lawyer, so please use this video as a reference and not as actual legal advice. My goal with this video is to make immigration easy so that you don't need a lawyer, but please note that special cases will require the need for somebody with a legal background. In this video, we'll be talking about what the I-129F visa is good for, how to fill it out, and how to put together the packet that you'll be sending off to the United States Immigration Citizenship Services. With that said, let's go fill out some paperwork. The I-129F, otherwise known as the Petition for a Fiancé Visa, is a form that allows a citizen of the United States to solicit a visa for their alien fiancé, this is called a K-1 visa, or for their spouse to whom they were legally married in another country. This is called a K-3 visa. This visa grants the foreigner temporary immigration status, also known as non-immigrant status, into the United States for 90 days upon arrival, during which time they are expected to become legally married in the United States. Once legally married in the United States, the immigrant can then begin the process to become a permanent resident, which itself comes with many other benefits, including the ability to get a social security card. This allows you to get a bank account, to file tax returns, and to get a driver's license. It also allows you to get a work permit, and it allows you to leave the United States during limited time spans. The Petition for Alien Fiancé allows temporary visas to be solicited for children of the foreigner and divorced persons as well. Just know that if the foreigner does have children of their own or has been divorced before, the United States citizen will be required to include additional information about these things in their I-129F packet. We'll go over these evidences a little bit later when we walk through how to fill out the packet. My wife and I met while I was traveling in South America, and like many of you, it was love at first sight. Even after I returned home, we started texting back and forth for almost 2 years actually on WhatsApp, and I visited her a couple times during that time, those 2 years, and she visited me a couple of times since she already had a US tourist visa. We ended up deciding to get married at the beginning of 2019, and as the petitioner, I sent in my I-129F paperwork at the beginning of February in 2019. We'd seen online that the wait times for this visa interview that my fiance would have to do was taking about from 4 to 6 months. So we planned for a wedding to take place in August of 2019. However, my fiance didn't hear back from the embassy in her country for almost 10 months, and she eventually received her K-1 visa in February of 2020, about a year after we sent in the packet. My fiance ended up having her interview at the embassy, the US embassy in her country, in October. And at that interview, she was given several forms that she needed to fill out before she could turn them back into the embassy and then receive her visa. The documents that she had to fill out included some work history, address history, and she even had to undergo some certified medical exams by a specific practitioner that the US Embassy required. It took about 2 months to make all of these medical appointments and go to them, and then get all the paperwork together and get it all back to the embassy. About 3 weeks after turning in the documents, in February of 2020, my fiance got a phone call, went to the embassy to pick up her passport, and saw that inside was her new K-1 visa that would allow her to go into the United States and be there for 90 days until she got married. She got on a plane the next day, and we were married soon after. We were confused and nervous at nearly every point in the process, but we didn't have any money to afford an expensive immigration lawyer. A large part of the delay in my fiance's immigration process was my not understanding what papers to send in And I was actually sent several requests for additional evidence because I just forgot to include some of the papers that I didn't think were necessary or I didn't understand that I needed to include. A lawyer definitely would have made things easier, but immigration shouldn't just be for people who can afford an expensive lawyer. Immigration should be accessible to everybody. I hope that this video will give you another perspective on how to fill out the I-129F packet so that you can start living with your loved ones as soon as possible. So in this little video, we're going to go over some important links on the internet that are going to help you a lot during the immigration process, including how to find the form that you're actually supposed to fill out, and some other useful links that will help you understand what to do to know about how long your case is going to take, and also what you can do if you think that your case is taking a lot longer than it should be and you need to get some help with that. There's actually a way you can reach out to an immigration officer and get that taken care of. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just go to Google. So I'm here in Google, and I'm actually just going to type in 129F. So as you can recall, the form that we want to fill out is called I-129F, and I hit enter, and as you can see here, this very first link is actually the link that we want. So it's I-129F, the petition for alien fiancé. Let's click that, and we'll see here that there's a little bit of information about the I-129F form, and there's some information about the kinds of visas that you'll be receiving depending on your situation. If you're soliciting somebody who you haven't married abroad versus somebody you have married abroad, the differences are very minor, and I won't be going over them. The most important links on this page are actually these two right here. So this is the actual form that we're going to be filling out on our computer. We're going to be printing it off, and then we're going to be sending it in a physical packet through the mail to United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. So this is going to be probably the most important link that you'll need. But below it, we'll see that there's these instructions for Form I-129F. This is really important because these are the official instructions on how to fill out the paperwork. So things that I say might be wrong, I might say them incorrectly, or in the future maybe things will have changed and what I'm saying will be out of date. These instructions will be up to date always. So if there's ever any doubt in what you're supposed to do, go to these instructions. I'll just open this up. It's just a PDF document. Just open it up and look for the answer to your question here. And if you can't find the answer to your question here, you might try searching around on the internet, or eventually try contacting an immigration lawyer if it comes to that. But let's open up this very first link. So this is the Form I-129F. This is the form that we're actually going to print out eventually. So we can fill it out here in the browser, but in the browser is where we're searching on the internet, and we don't really want to do that because it won't be saved to our computer. So when we go to print out this paper and then send it to the government, it's actually going to be blank probably. So what we want to do is come up here to this little icon up here, and I'm just going to click download, and I'm just going to click save. So I'm going to click save, and now you can see down here it's actually saved on my computer. So that's really good. We'll talk a little bit more about how to fill out that paperwork in a future session. You can skip ahead to that. But for now, I want to go over kind of creating an account. So there's a little button up here that says sign in. And I thought it was kind of absurd at first to have, like, why would you need to make an account with Immigration Services? There's actually a few benefits that you can get from creating an account here. So I guess I'll just forward this by saying you don't have to have an account to immigrate to the United States. You do not need an account with USCIS to immigrate. But it is useful. There are some forms that you can fill out online. The I-129F form is not one of those forms that you can fill out online. You cannot fill it out online. But there are things you can do, like you can track your case status, and you can I think you can set it to give you updates regarding your status through your email. To be honest, I didn't create an account with them before going through immigration, and so I don't know the benefits of it as well as I probably should. But my immigration, the immigration paperwork for my wife and I went through very smoothly, and we didn't have an account. So I guess I would just recommend it, but it's not necessary. And you would just go to make an account. I guess you would just come here and you type in your email. So my email at gmail.com, and then you put it again here, and then you would sign up and it would send you a link, and then you'd fill out some information and stuff. So no worries about that. Another thing I wanted to show you real quick, let's go back here to Google. There's a way that you can check your case status throughout the entire process of immigration. So obviously you have to send in some paperwork. So after, like, you won't have a case status until you send something in, which would be this I-129F form. This will actually give you a case status. So once you've sent that form in, you'll get a response back from USCIS. It'll be a paper. It'll say, we have received your case and we are processing it, blah, 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 blah. And you'll be given a case number that you can enter into this website. So to go to this website, we're going to just search case status USCIS. I hit enter, and this very first link that I see here, case status online, I'm going to click on that. And then here there's this little box where I can enter in the receipt of my form. And once you send in the form I-129F and you get that receipt back, it'll tell you what your receipt number. It will say your receipt number is blah, 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 blah. And it'll usually start with 3 letters, and then it'll have like 7 numbers or something. And then you'll just enter that in here, click check status. I didn't enter anything in, but you'll just hit check status and it will tell you what the most recent action on your case has been. So it'll tell you, we just got your paperwork, or we're processing your paperwork, or we sent you something in the mail, you should be getting it soon. So just be sure to be checking this page very frequently, because you could have updates to your case and you won't get the letter for maybe a month, but you can check it online instantly right here. Another tool that I want to show you is a tool that is on that same website for USCIS. Sometimes we want to know how long the process is going to take, and we can do that very easily just by typing in processing times USCIS. And I hit enter, processing times USCIS, and I'm going to click this first link. And I can see here that there's going to be a drop-down list. I'm going to just click on that, and I can see there's a whole bunch of different immigration forms that I could potentially fill out. The one I'm actually filling out is this I-129F. So I'm going to click that, and then it says, well, which place is it? So it's saying, this is the form that I just sent in. Which service center is it at? And this will actually be written on your receipt as well. When I sent in my form, it went to the California Service Center, and so I'm just going to click on that one, just as an example. I'm going to click Get Processing Time. It's going to load for a second. Scroll down. And we can see down here that this says the estimated time range, so that the estimated processing time for this case is 6 to 8 months. So 6 to 8 months from the date that they receive the packet. Okay, so if the case was received on March 31st or earlier, then your case should have been processed. That's what this date right here is saying. If the case has not been processed and the receipt date was earlier than this, so say you sent in the packet on January 1st of 2021 and you still haven't heard back, you can actually send in a case inquiry. So I'm going to show you that now. We can just put in Google here, case inquiry. We say case inquiry or case inquiry. I'm not quite sure what it is. And I'm going to hit enter. So case inquiry, USCIS. I'm going to click this very first link. And I get various options here. So if my case is taking too long, then I can click this button right here that says case outside normal processing time. Think a case is taking longer than expected? I actually did this several times with some of my cases, not specifically the I-129F form, but other immigration forms that I filed. I did use this button here. It just takes you to a form that you have to fill out, another form, and you have to put in a bunch of information about the date that you filed your form and everything. And it actually sped things along for me. Immigration Services got back to me within a couple weeks, and they resolved my problems and got my immigration status, my wife's immigration status worked out. But there's other options here as well. So if you changed addresses and you're not getting your mail anymore, or if you just didn't get anything in the mail, or if you need accommodations of any kind for an appointment or something, go to this page and make an inquiry, and an immigration officer will review it and will get back to you and will help you out. And those are the tools that I wanted to show you today. I hope they will help you kind of figure out how to do the immigration journey, and I hope they will be of use to you in your future. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments, or if you know of any other tools that are useful and might help people out, please leave those in the comments as well. In this section, we're going to go over how to download Adobe Acrobat. So as you saw before, when you're filling out the form I-129F, you can fill it out on the browser for the most part, but the only problem is that there's some sections that the form doesn't recognize that you're supposed to type things in there, and so it doesn't let you type in, and it's really just kind of a pain to try and work with the form I-129F just by downloading it. And it's really, I figured this out a little bit late, that it's really nice to use Adobe Acrobat because you can insert text wherever you want to, and it's actually really easy, a lot easier to fill out the form. So I'm going to show you how to download Adobe Acrobat. So if we just type in here Adobe Acrobat, and then we just come to this link here that says PDF Reader, Adobe Acrobat Reader, and we'll click that, and it's going to bring us to this page at Adobe. We're going to say download PDF Reader. And so there's actually two versions of Adobe Acrobat. There's a pro version that you have to pay for, but actually just the free version will work for filling out this form that we're trying to do. So we're just gonna, I just unclicked these because these are to install random things that I don't want to do. And you probably don't need them either, but yeah, you can leave those checked if you want to. It doesn't really matter. What we're gonna do is we're gonna click this button here that says download Adobe Acrobat Reader. And I'm gonna click it, and this screen is gonna load. There we go. So now that this file has downloaded, we can see that it's just appeared right here in the bottom left, and I can click it to install it. And this is how you install it. It's that easy. It comes up with this screen. I don't know if you can see this, but it asked me for administrator permission, and I just said yes. And now it actually says that my application is already installed. So this will actually take a little bit for you probably, but it could take about 10 minutes to download. And once it downloads, you just click finish, and Adobe Acrobat Reader pulls up all by itself. So nothing new you need to do. From here, what we're gonna do is let's see what it says, make Adobe Acrobat my default PDF application. I'm just gonna say no. You can say yes, that part doesn't matter. What we're eventually going to do, well actually what we are going to do is we're going to open up the PDF file that we downloaded before, and we're going to start filling it out here in Adobe Acrobat. So I'm actually going to go through that in the next video, but this is how you install and use Adobe Acrobat Reader. So this is going to be the bulk of the video. We're going to actually now go through the form I-129F, the petition for the alien fiancé, and we're going to fill it out as best as we can. So here I am on the I-129F page. I'm going to come down to this link here. I'm actually going to do this all from scratch. So I'm going to pull up the document here, and I'm going to click up here in the upper right corner, download. And I've actually downloaded it twice, as you can see. So I'll download it again. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my downloads folder because I've just downloaded this. I'm going to click this icon down here. You might have to open it up in here and go File Explorer. So just type in File Explorer, however you pull up your files. I'm going to go to Downloads, and I'm going to click on this. and I'm going to actually click Adobe Acrobat. So I just right clicked this if you didn't see that. So I clicked on the form, I right clicked it, and then I'm just going to go down here to open with Adobe Acrobat DC. So that's the thing we downloaded in the previous video segment. Hello cat, goodbye. Alright, so here's our form. I'm going to say no, do not make this my default PDF thing. Cool, so this is the very fun part that we're going to go through, and we're just going to do this. I'm going to kind of speed through this so that it doesn't get too boring or anything. The first thing we can see here on the I-129F form is that there's a section up here that says that it is for USCIS use only. So don't touch that part. You don't need to know anything about it even. We're just going to start here with part 1, information about you. So here's where you're going to put your alien registration number. And so this is talking about the petitioner, right? So me as the petitioner, I would put my alien registration number if I have one. So if I immigrated to the United States and I am now a US citizen, so I can fill out this form and send it to people and solicit my family members, I probably have an alien registration number and I can put it here. And it's just a string of, I think it's like 7 numbers or something, or maybe it's 8 or 9. But anyway, if you know what it is, you can put it down. If you don't know what this is, you probably don't need to worry about this. Your USCIS online account number. This is if you've made an account on USCIS. Like I mentioned before, it's not really essential, but I guess if you want to include it here, you can. When I filled this out, I did not include it, and things went well. U.S. Social Security number. This is where the United States citizen, who is the petitioner, is going to put their Social Security number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Cool. Now right below here, we're going to select the visa type that we want the other person to be receiving. So in my case, I wanted to get a fiancé visa because I was not married to this person previously. If you are married to this person in a different country, then you'll want to just click this box here. All right, cool. And and so this number 5 here, this says that if you are filing to classify your spouse as a K3, so with a K3 visa, have you filed Form 130? And the Form I-130 is a form that you actually have to fill out before filing this document, the I-129F. It's just to establish that you actually are married. So this form just basically, you're going to have to send a marriage certificate from the country that you were married in and some other information that shows that you have a relationship, and then they'll give you permission to file the I-129F. So we'll click yes because we're assuming that up to this point you have filed this already, because if you have not filed this, they will not accept this form. So file I-130 before filing the I-129F that we're filling out right now. I'm gonna fill out my full name right here, so I'll just put Columbus Christopher, and then I don't know, T. Other names, so this is still talking about the petitioner, right? So if I have ever gone by a different name, maybe if you immigrated from a different country, you've got an Americanized name, and you might want to put your original name here in this box. And you're going to have to put it probably in English because the USCIS likes to have translations of all their documents. So if you have a foreign name that is written in characters that aren't like the Latin characters, then you might need to translate them to Latin characters and put them here. This is where you're going to put your mailing address. So you'll put in care of Chris Columbus, and then I'll put my address. You can put if you live in an apartment or a certain floor, the city that you live in. You can also scroll down here. You can scroll and choose the state. You can also choose your zip code and type that in here too. And notice that when I click a state that it doesn't let me, like I'm typing right now and it's not letting me put anything in here. This is because you don't, this province and postal code, this is if you live in a United States territory and not in one of the 50 states of the United States, just so you know. This has automatically filled this in for me actually, saying that I live in the United States. Is your current mailing address the same as your physical address? In my case, it was yes, so Actually, mine was no. So I actually chose no. So I did not live at the place where I wanted my mail to go, because I actually moved 4 times while we were going through the immigration process. So I wanted to get my mail going to a family member's house, and you can do that too. So this is your mailing address. This is where you want your mail to go. Here we've got a bit about my address history. So my address history as the petitioner, right? So I can put, the streets I've lived on, and this is in the last 5 years. And just do it to the best of your ability. In my opinion, you don't need to be perfect about this part. Just fill this out as best as you can, with the street number and zip code and everything. This physical address 1, probably your most recent address, is the most important, and I would try to have that one really well done. But the others, I think as long as you get it in the ballpark, that'll be good enough. So that'll be here and here. Right here, you're going to put the names of your employers. If you have 2 jobs, then you can include both of them right here. At some point, in the future, you will be asked about your financial status, and you will have to submit some tax documents if you want to become a permanent resident. And the United States citizen is going to have to show that they're able to financially take care of the person they're soliciting. So you might want to just include information, be detailed about information about your employer. As far as start dates and end dates, just be as close as you can, but don't worry too much about the specifics. They're probably not going to reach out to anybody and verify this. Here's some more information about your employment. Here's more information about the petitioner. So in my case, I'm male. You can put your birth date right here. Your marital status. If you're married, that's probably a problem. But, well, actually, I guess it's not if you're already married. So here's a little bit about your marital status. So go ahead and choose what your current marital status is. You're going to put here a little bit about your, where you were born and everything. And this even works if you are not from the United States, just so you know. This information about my parents, the petitioner's parents, where they were born and which country they were born in. So that goes for both parents, here, here, and here. If I've ever previously been married, then I can select yes, and I'll have to provide some information about my previous spouse. This is what will probably warrant some information about divorce in the future, and that will go over a little bit when it comes to evidences. It's just an extra paper that talks about it's like a divorce certificate and maybe even a letter about what exactly the story is. I'm going to just put no to simplify this. Here's some information about the U.S. citizenship. I was born in the United States. A lot of people are naturalized, though, or have U.S. parents. So just choose whichever one that best suits you here. This information about your certificate of naturalization if you were naturalized into the United States. If you don't know what this is, you probably don't need to worry about it. Have you ever filed Form I-129F for any other beneficiary? So if you've sponsored somebody else, like I know a guy who he actually solicited somebody to he got a fiancé visa for her, and he married her, and then he later divorced her, and he solicited somebody else. So that would be the same in this case. He would select yes, that he had solicited somebody in the past. That's okay. It's just something that they need to take into consideration. And you'll fill out some information about them and their children and the ages of the children. Here's some information about all the places that you've resided since your 18th birthday. So this is actually new since I filled this out, but you'll just go through here. So here's state and country. Just fill this out kind of to the best of your ability. Just, kind of where were you at during the past or during your life, pretty much. Now this is information, this is part 2, this is information about the beneficiary, and beneficiary meaning the immigrant, the person who is in a different country and you want them to come to this country, to the United States. So talk a little bit about their last name, their first name, their middle name, If they've been through immigration before, then they'll have an A number. My fiance did not have an A number, so this wasn't included. If you don't know what this A number is, then you probably don't need to worry about it. The A number is just kind of a number that is assigned to you. It's kind of like a social security number, but it's not as big. It's just for immigrants. And it is actually assigned to you once you start an immigration process. So you send in this form and you will be assigned an A number. And you'll actually, I mentioned previously that you'll get a receipt that says that we received your case, and it will give you a receipt number, and it will also give you an A number. And that's where you would put this. You would include that A number here if you had it. But it's not a big deal if you don't have it. Here you'll include a US Social Security number if they've got one. Some people get US or Social Security numbers if they come on a work visa or a student visa or something. They'll get a Social Security number, and they can include that here. This is all just for identification purposes. Here you'll include date of birth of the immigrant, their gender, their marital status. You'll put a little bit about where they were born and other names that they've used. So that's just kind of basic information about them. Here's where you're going to put their mailing address. This is very important because this is where the embassy is going to be. So the embassy in their country is going to be contacting them at this address, most likely. So make sure to make this really good, this mailing address. Make sure it's where you want the mail to go. And here there's a little bit about your beneficiary's address history. Like I said before, probably the most recent. So this part right here is probably the most important part to get right. The rest of this, the physical address, just get it as close as you can. They just kind of want a basic idea of where the beneficiary has been living during the past, 5 years. Right here is where you're going to fill out a bit about their employment history, so where they've been working. It'll be a lot like the employer history that you filled out on your section, and you'll just include that here. Down here you can include more about a second employment or a second employer. And here we can actually talk a little bit about their parents. So you'll need to get basic information about their parents, their full names, their date of birth, and where they were born probably. Oh yeah, country of birth. And where they are living, looks like. So you just fill that out here, you'll go through all these. And then here it'll ask other information about the immigrant. If they've been previously married, you can click this and these things will light up and let you fill them out. Tell a little bit about their previous marriage. We'll just put no to make this simple. Have they ever been to the United States? This is a simple question, so we can put yes or no. If we put no, we can actually see that this actually turns blank and doesn't let you put anything in. If we put yes, that they have been to the United States, we'll have to write that how they entered. So in my case, my fiance entered as a visitor. He was a tourist. And then you'll see this I-94 arrival departure record number. And this is something that you can actually get online. So let's actually do that right now. If we come here, so we're looking for a form, it's called I-94. I-94 is a form that's automatically assigned to foreigners when they enter the country. So I'm just going to type in literally I-94 to Google. And this very first link that I see here, I'm just going to click this. So this is the website where you can get the I-94. I'm actually not going to go through this process right now, but just click on this button and fill out the information it tells you to fill out, and you'll get back a paper pretty much that is what you need. It'll give you this number that you put in your form right here. And you'll just put that number in right there. And it will also come with your date of arrival, so you just put that in there. And it'll give USCIS some information about when the immigrant arrived in the country. Let's move on. And now we can see that there's some more information about the I-94, so that will just be found on the I-94 that you get from that website. You can enter in the passport number of the immigrant, their travel document number, which if you don't have this, you don't need to worry about it. So it's either passport or travel document, just one or the other. So this says country of issuance for passport or travel document. My fiance used a passport, and that's probably what I imagine a lot of people will use. Here you'll put the expiration date for that document. You'll put here if they have any children or not. If they do have children, then you can put information about that child right here. If they have more than one child, then you will actually scroll to the bottom, and on the very last page of this document, it's called extra space, and so you can use that extra space to fill out information about more children. So there's a lot of space there. You can just put more information back there. We'll go over that in a second. Here down below, we can put information about the child if they don't live with the parent. So we'll actually answer this question. Yes, they live with the child, or no, they don't live with the child, in which case you'll put in their information about where they do live. We scroll here again. This is the address where the immigrant intends to live. It might be with you, in which case you can just put your own address, or it might be like a house that you found or an apartment, just whatever it is. Put the address here. Put where they're currently living right now. So this is different from their mailing address, right? This is their physical address. So this is to prove that they are actually living abroad still. Here is where you're going to put, this is actually different from when I filled this out, but you're going to put in your native alphabet, so whatever characters that you use, the immigrant's name and information and stuff. So that'll be easy. That'll help USCIS kind of locate the person because maybe using English characters doesn't work. Scroll down. Is your fiance related to you? You can put that yes if it's like your sister or your cousin or something. Oh, okay, here it says third cousin or maternal uncle. Okay, so I guess maybe you wouldn't go that extreme to marry your sister, but maybe you would. Maybe you would marry a family member, and that's like just something you're gonna have to write here on this form. They can also be related to you by being your spouse, in which case you would actually just check this box here. In my case, I clicked no because my fiance was not related to me at all. And so the relationship I put here was I don't think I put anything actually. I think I just put NA. So one thing to know is that if there is something that you can't fill out, like you don't need to fill out like this, you can put NA in the space, and that helps USCIS just know that nothing is going in that box. There's no information. NA stands for not applicable. So just put NA. It actually says that in the instructions, by the way. Have you and your fiance met in person during the 2 years immediately before filing this petition? If you met in the past 2 years, then put yes. If you haven't met because of COVID or something, then put no. In any case, you're gonna have to explain what the meeting was like. So like, oh yeah, I went to visit them and we were hanging out for a month. Or no, because of the pandemic, we haven't been able to see each other for so long, for 2 years. But you're just gonna have to explain that right here. And just do your best with that explanation. I think that the more intense part that they're going to actually question the relationship comes at a later part, especially during the interview that they're going to have at the U.S. Embassy in their country. That's where the hardest part of the interview is going to be, I think. And they might actually compare this story that you put here with the story that they gave at the embassy. So just make sure you're on the same page with each other. This is talking about international broker, marriage broker. So that's somebody who kind of arranges marriages for people and helps people get to know each other. If you use an international marriage broker, then you can put yes here, and then you can talk about kind of who they are and give information about how to contact them. USCIS does this because they want to make sure that marriages are legitimate, and they're really out to get fraudulent marriages. So be sure that you're careful with that one too. Consular processing information. So this is where the let's see, this actually wasn't on my immigration form either, but I would just assume that here you're going to put information about where the immigrant is going to attend their immigration appointment at. So maybe I live in near Denver, Colorado, but I would actually like to go to the appointment in Salt Lake City, then I guess I can put that, you know. So my wife, my fiance I would have just put the capital of her country and then her country name here. Other information. So this is talking about criminal information. It's going to ask you a bunch of questions about different crimes and if you have committed them. If you do select yes to any one of these questions, you probably don't need this video. You probably can just go straight to a lawyer. I think that a lawyer will probably be kind of necessary if you have been convicted of a crime. So go through this page, and then all of this page here is talking about crimes again. So again, if you have committed a crime before or have been convicted of a crime, you should probably look into getting in touch with an immigration lawyer. Here we can see, let's see, multiple filer waiver request information. So let's see. So this here is multiple filer waiver request information. This is really just going through criminal information again. If you have had a restraining order or been convicted for something specific, then go ahead and check this box. And like I said, go find probably a good immigration lawyer. You'll just need that. And here's where you're going to put some biographical information about the immigrant. So if they're Hispanic or Latino or not Hispanic or Latino, you can put about their race. You know, this is all just easy biographical information, and just do your best guess. Do your best guess. Now we're getting kind of to the end of the document. So here's where we're just going, the petitioner's statement. So this is basically a signature by you, the petitioner, the US citizen, saying, I petition this person, pretty much. So you're going to say, I can read and understand English. There's an interpreter used for me. If you did use an interpreter, I interpreted for my fiance, and we just put that she actually understood English on her part. So we didn't put anything about an interpreter. There was just no need to do it, really. So I would just select this box, and then if you did have somebody prepare this for you, which that might be like a lawyer or something, then you can check this box and put their name, and you'll have to talk about them a little bit later on. Here we'll put contact information for the petitioner, for the United States citizen. You probably put it up above, but you'll just put it again down here. And here you'll actually sign the document. So you can sign this electronically with Adobe. If you actually come up here, you can click this box, and then you can add a signature, and then you can like copy and paste it in here. What I actually prefer doing, because you're gonna have to print this anyway, I would just leave this box blank and then just sign it with black ink with your hand afterwards. That's probably the easiest way to do this. And then you'll put the date that you signed that there. Here's where you're gonna put information about the interpreter, if you did use an interpreter. Like I said, if you translated for your fiance or your wife, I would probably just ignore this section because it's kind of redundant to put yourself again as the interpreter. So, but if you did use an interpreter, go ahead and fill out their information here. Again, interpreter information here. Here's where the interpreter will they will state that they are fluent in English and all that stuff, and they will actually sign this document also. And again, I would have them actually sign it with a pen. It's probably easier. Preparer, that could be you, the United States citizen again. I probably wouldn't worry about this because unless you're actually getting a lawyer to prepare this for you. And like I mentioned before, it might be a good idea actually to put NA in all of these boxes just to signify to USCIS that you're not using these fields at all. So it's not that you forgot them, it's just that you're actually not using them. So go ahead and fill in all of these with NA. So I'm not gonna do that right now, but go ahead and do that. If you, I think it'll be better for your solicitation. And here you'll put in information for the preparer, the contact information. They're going to put a little bit about if they're actually an accredited lawyer or not, which that's kind of their thing. And then they will just sign it here, again, probably in black ink. And here we come to the very last page of this document, which is the additional information page. And as you can see, this is just got some blank fields, so it's just referring to if I want to add a new child. Let's scroll up here. So it looks like I need the page number, the part number, and the item number. So scroll up, scroll. So if I've got a second child, I'm looking on page 7. I'm on part 8, and I'm on item 40A. So I'm going to scroll back down. And I would just put it here, page 7, part number 8, item number 40. I'll probably just put 40 if I'm going to fill out information for a whole child. Then I'll put their name and their birth date, and everything else that you need that you should include for another child. And that is the way that we finish filling out this document. So the longest part about this is actually just getting all the information together. Once you actually have all the information, it's really fast to fill out, as we can see. We just did it in about 25 minutes. So just get your information together and fill this out and print it out and sign it. Next, we're going to go over all the evidences that you need to include in your packet to send to USCIS. One more thing that I should mention before we actually close this, you should come up here and save this document now that you've filled out all the information. Come up here to File, I'll click that, and then we're just going to come down here to Save As. So I'm going to save this as, and I'm going to just save it in my Downloads folder. I'm going to just click here and I'm going to type in Finished. So I'm going to save this as a file called I-129F finished. So now that I've saved this file, I can close out of this and I can be okay. And now I can open up my file anytime from my computer. If I come back to Downloads, here, my finished, this is the one I just made. I can open this up and I can see that all the information that I filled out is still there. So this is the document that I can actually print out and I can sign it later on. Alright everybody, so in this segment we're going to go over what documents you need to include actually in your I-129F packet. So there's actually 8 different things more or less that you need to include in the packet, and it kind of depends on whether you've been divorced before, if you or the foreigner have children, and we'll go over each of these 8 things in detail and discuss whether you need them or not. So the 8 things that you're going to need are, first, the actual I-129F packet. This is the one that you filled out in Adobe Acrobat. You're going to need a Form I-94 for the foreigner. You're going to need a passport picture, a picture of your passport or birth certificate. You're going to need divorce evidence, which could be a decree of divorce, and this is only applicable if you are divorced. A letter that expresses your intent to marry the foreigner once they come to the United States. Some photographic or maybe whatever other kind of evidence that you have that shows that you have a long-lasting relationship with the person. And a check for $535. And we're going to go over that. That's actually dependent on your situation as well, but we'll go over that in a second. So just as a side note, just be aware that you should not be sending original documents of anything in the mail to USCIS. They're going to keep everything. So do not send an original birth certificate, an original passport, or pictures and stuff that you don't have copies of. Don't send those in. Make sure to get copies of those first and then send the copies into USCIS. So the first thing you're going to need is the I-129F form. So this is the form that you filled out probably with Adobe Acrobat or on your computer. You can also do it by hand, and it should be filled out by you, the petitioner, and it should be signed by you, the petitioner. Petitioner being you, the United States citizen, right? Now this is going to go in the very front of the packet. So it's going to be when you open up the folder, depending on if it's this kind of folder or whatever kind of folder, it's going to want to be the first thing that the USCIS sees, and it's pretty self-explaining. We went over it in a different segment. The next thing that you're going to need is a Form I-94, and this is if the foreigner, the person that you're soliciting to come to the United States, if they have been to the United States before, you're going to want to include this in the packet as well. So this I-94 is just a record that U.S. Customs takes whenever a foreigner enters the country, and it provides information about the date that they last entered and where they entered in at and everything. So you can actually go and get this I-94 by going to this link right here if you just type this into Google, or you can just type in I-94 into Google, and the very first link that pops up, click that, and that will take you to a page where you can then click to get my Form I-94, and it is pretty straightforward from there. You just enter in some information about yourself. So make sure to print this out and include this with the packet as well. The next thing you're going to need are some passport pictures. So passport pictures are basically a 2x2, so 2 inches by 2 inches, so 2 inches tall, 2 inches wide, pictures of yourself that are taken of you, and there's a white background so that it's just you that are seen, and you can see yourself kind of from the shoulder up. And these pictures, you can get them at the post office. They cost, I think at our local post office, they cost about $15 to get a professional passport picture. This passport picture is actually of me, and I took it myself. I just propped my camera up against the wall and took a picture of myself, and then I kind of edited it to make the background a little bit wider. And then I just used a PowerPoint to actually lay out 6 different, so I cut it into perfect squares. Then I made each square exactly 2 inches, and I just laid them out in this format, so I can just go and print 6 pictures, passport pictures of myself at Walmart. I think it costs like 20 cents right now, and so I can get 6 passport pictures for 20 cents, which is really nice. And then I just cut it up here and cut it here and then cut it along the middle here. So that's kind of, if you know about, I don't know anything about picture editing, but I was able to manage to get this to work. So that's one option. Or you can just go, I think Walgreens does passport pictures for cheap. They might be like 50 cents or something. But you're going to need one of these passport pictures of yourself. So you, the U.S. citizen, are going to need one of these. And you cannot be wearing a headwear. You need to be looking at the camera. You need to be just like normal clothing. Something that will make you easy to see and recognize from a passport or whatever. The next thing you're going to need is evidence of your U.S. citizenship. So that could be a passport or a birth certificate if you were born in the United States, or if you have any other sort of document that states that you have obtained U.S. citizenship. Go ahead and include a photocopy of that. So make sure it's a photocopy and not an original. The next thing that you will need only if you have been in a previous marriage is evidence of divorce. So this could be just a final decree of your divorce, or a similar document that is legally binding that says that you were divorced, because you're going to have to include this information in the packet when you talk about your previous marriage. So this is only needed if you or the immigrant were previously divorced. You should get that evidence. The next thing you're going to need is a letter from you, the petitioner, that states your intent to marry. Now this is a reason that I actually got a request for evidence. I didn't think this was very necessary because I thought it was kind of obvious that I wanted to marry the person, so I didn't include a letter. And then Immigration Services came back later and said that they need a letter that says, I will marry this person when they come to the United States. So I literally just typed out, I think there were 2 sentences in the letter. It said, my name is Hayden Hoops and I wish to marry ta-ta-ta-ta-ta person. I'm going to marry them within the 90 days that when they come to the United States. Signed by me, done. So make sure that you've got a letter that says that. It could be something super simple. It doesn't seem like it's very necessary because, anybody could just write a letter, but it's pretty important to them, I guess. So make sure you include that. It doesn't have to be in an envelope or anything, but it just needs to be a letter that is signed by you. The next thing that you're going to need are evidences, and this is probably going to be the most bulky part of the packet. You're going to want definitely photo evidences, so pictures of the two of you doing things together in your lives. Screenshots of chats are really common. You could also include like photocopies of plane tickets or something, anything that shows that you two have actually seen each other recently or in the past, and that you actually have a long-lasting relationship. What they're looking for is they want to see that this isn't a relationship that was put together by somebody so that you don't actually know each other and that somebody's just getting married for the visa. That's what they're trying to avoid. So make sure that you just include any documentation that can show that you have a long-lasting relationship, and go ahead and write the date on the back of each of those pictures and kind of a summary of what was going on. Like a lot of conversations I know that I had with my fiance or my wife is we had them in Spanish, and so I wrote translations on the back to describe kind of what we were talking about to make things a little bit easier for the immigration services. And the last thing that you're going to need is a check written for $535. Now you can also pay with credit card if you fill out the form G145, so you can see that right here. Fill out this form and you can be able to pay with a credit card, but you only need to pay this fee if you are soliciting a K1 visa. So that's for a fiancé visa, a person who you have not married before. If you actually married them in a different country, you probably already paid this fee, this $535, when you filled out the form I-130. I'm sorry. So you will have already paid this fee. This is a biometrics fee that USCIS charges you to kind of run background checks on and everything. Make sure that when you do write out the check, you make it out to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Yeah, that's all you should need to know about that. My final pieces of advice for putting this packet together, these aren't really required things, but they're just things that I've seen that people have done. Make sure to put post-it notes between each of the sections. So say this is the form I-129F, and this is the form I-94, and this is the evidences and stuff. So make sure to kind of separate those by post-it notes. It'll just clarify things, maybe help the process be sped along a little bit. Do not staple your documents together. I've just read that USCIS does not like that. They have their own system of putting together documents. They use the two holes at the top of the page. And so when they get documents that are stapled together, they have to go and remove the staples, and they don't like that. So don't staple things together, just separate them by post-it notes. And make sure you just use a normal manila or like a cheap like kids like school folder. That's what we did, and we were told that ringed folders, so the ones that are thicker on the spine, you don't want to use those because they take up too much space, and USCIS is going to have a hard time managing them anyway. So just make sure that you don't do that. And with that, you'll have all the 8 things that you need to put together this packet, put it in a folder, and then just go to the post office and just ask them what you need to do basically to send it off to USCIS. The address for where you can send this packet, let me just go there real quick. So we'll just type in 129F to Google, click the first link that pops up, and we can see there's here this where to file drop down thing right here, and we can see that if I go to a US postal if I go to the Postal Service, which is probably what I would do, then you can just write this as the address. So you'll just send it to this address, the packet. If you're using FedEx or UPS or whatever, just go ahead and use this address. And that should be all you need to know about filing this I-129F packet. If you do have any other questions, make sure to look at this page. This page that I'm looking at right here, it has all the information, it's always updated, and it will help you answer any questions that you have.